going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
This effort, and China has big plans for this. They intend to seed their digital yuan into the global environment by giving it away to visitors at next winter's Olympics. When they arrive at the airport, they're going to get yuan digital wallets. They're going to receive digital yuan. They're going to use it throughout their visits to Beijing, and then they're going to take it back to their home countries. They see this as a huge advantage. Why? Because who controls the underlying protocols, who controls the underlying standards of the future of money will control the future of money.
I want to switch gears now to the metaverse, of course. Big news, obviously, out of Facebook. But I mean, this is important because it seems like the definition of stake and ownership is going to change with this metaverse coming out, right? Crypto and other types of decentralized platforms will allow people to take ownership once the metaverse comes out. How important is that going to be? I mean, not to say that's the reason why Bitcoin is over $67,000, right?
Sure.
But it does have some connection. How does Grayscale think about the opportunity and what could be this next wave of the internet?
Okay, so I really appreciate the question. This is going to need a little bit of time, so bear with me, okay?
We got plenty.
About 6-7 years ago, the word blockchain was being thrown around without people really having a fundamental understanding of what the technology actually was or what its use cases would be. And here we are today, and blockchain is certainly a colloquial word that's being used, right? You fast forward to what we've seen over the last few weeks and months, and all of a sudden the word metaverse is being tossed around quite a bit. We're even seeing companies changing their names to advocate for or indicate that they're moving towards supporting metaverse applications. At its core, a metaverse is where digital experiences take place. And to understand why there's so much excitement around this, I think it's important to reverse the clock and go back to the layers of the internet. So if you go back to the Web 1.0, and this has been built up over decades, you really saw the emergence of, for the first time, a read-only digital interface where we could get information. You didn't have to go to
rack back.
Right. You didn't need to go to the library anymore. You didn't need to read a book or pick up an encyclopedia. That then was dragged forward into the Web 2.0 that not only allowed us to have that read-only experience, but then connected everybody through e-commerce, through social media networks, things that we're using today and that we quite frankly can't imagine our lives without. But what's important to think about there is that all the value exchange that was taking place in the Web 2.0 was still causing us to rely on those social media networks, those e-commerce giants. What we're now seeing as we move to the Web 3.0 and are maybe just on the dawn of the Web 3.0 is that value is actually being returned to the individuals and users within this digital economy. And so when you think about the idea of a metaverse, let's just suspend belief for 1 second, okay? Imagine that you can go to a concert without leaving your couch. Imagine you own land that you will never set foot on, but that has material value. These are the types of digital experiences that metaverse applications unlock. And we're now seeing a lot of the confluence of gaming, virtual reality, and social media networks converging around these ideas. And there are a lot of really exciting applications out there. We've long been believers in Decentraland, which is a decentralized metaverse. It has a native token called Mana. So these are the types of applications where we're starting to see user adoption and growth. But again, very, very early days for it.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And guys, I come back with that video just to make you think. And I've said it time and time again that 2022 is going to be the start of the worst time in American history. And I will keep saying it. And we see the proof time and time again. Now we have the CEO of Grayscale speaking of the metaverse. You will be going to concerts from your couch. And guys, we already know that. I've done several videos on that. You're going to own land that you'll never step foot on. I've done videos on that. Guys, they want you in a virtual world and don't let nobody fool you. Remember what the World Economic Forum stated? You own nothing, but you will be happy. Now, we know this infrastructure bill is to build out the fourth industrial revolution. But what Biden says is that you're not going to pay anything. It's only the wealthy who's going to pay anything. And that's how they're going to move all this technology in. Because we know the wealthy is not going to pay anything. They're going to take it from you. They're going to hire the robots, algorithms, and drones to do your job. And then lastly, guys, we have the bond market. We know that it tells us everything. Guys, this is about to be over. Babylon ended in 2020, but you're about to feel the pain. And like I've stated, crypto, stocks are going down. And there's going to be a lot of pain while the fourth industrial revolution is being built. So if you can hold out for 3, 4, 5 years, you're going to be fine. But many people are not going to be able to. Remember what Jerome Powell stated. This new economy is going to leave a lot of people left behind. But with technology, guys, it's not going to be any more crime. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows. When it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Overdue and long talked about in Washington, but almost never actually done. The House of Representatives passed my bipartisan infrastructure bill. Along with other plans that I'm advancing, this bill is going to reduce the cost of goods to consumers, businesses, and get people back to work, helping us build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, where everybody's better off. You know, I'm tired of this trickle-down economy stuff. I come from Delaware, just across the line up here, and, we have more corporations in Delaware than every other nation in the state combined. And so I understand big business. The fact of the matter is, it's time they start paying their fair share. The fact is, you have 55 corporations last year that, in fact, made $40 billion, didn't pay a single penny in taxes. Nobody's going to pay more. If you make less than $400,000, you're not going to pay anything more in taxes at all, period. Guaranteed, including gasoline tax. Not going to additional from a federal government standpoint. And so, look, this is a once-in-a-generation investment to create good-paying jobs, modernize infrastructure, turn the climate crisis into an opportunity. When I talk climate to other world leaders, I say, think one thing. We're dealing with climate, think jobs, good jobs, because that's how you beat the climate crisis. Put us on a path to win the economic competition of the 21st century. We face with China and the rest of the world. China's outspending us on research and development. China is outspending these other countries are as well. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create good-paying union jobs. Union, not good job, not $12 an hour, not $15 an hour, $45 an hour and up with good benefits, so you can raise a family on and build the middle class out. And jobs that cannot be outsourced. You can't outsource these jobs. And I'm going to transform our transportation system with the most significant investment in passenger rail in the past 50 years. In roads and bridges, the most significant investment in 70 years. And investments in public transit that we've done over the period. And it's going to modernize our ports with $17 billion in investment. $17 billion in investment. We're going to reduce congestion. We're going to address repair and maintenance backlogs, deploy state-of-the-art technologies, and make our ports cleaner and more efficient. And we're going to do the same with our airports and freight rail. We're going to create jobs replacing lead water pipes that are here in Maryland as well as every other state in the union that are poisoning our kids and others. We're going to make high-speed internet affordable and available to everywhere in America. Those of you who have kids in school, when we've been going this hybrid thing, some in class, some out of class, how many times, if you don't live in an area where you have high-speed internet you can afford, how many times you've driven your kids to the parking lot of McDonald's and sat there going off the McDonald's internet so you could hear? No, I'm not joking. Think of this, the United States of America, for God's sake. So, folks, we're going to build the first ever national network of electric vehicle charging stations all across the country. IBW is going to put in 500,000 charging stations across the country. And guess what? That's in the Recovery Act. Excuse me, that's in the Build Back Better bill, which is not going to raise taxes 1 single cent. It's totally paid for by making taxes work for people who make over 400 grand and just do their fair share. I'm a capitalist, man. You should be able to be a millionaire or billionaire if you can, but pay your fair share. Pay something along the line. I'm going to get America off the sidelines on manufacturing. Manufacturing of solar panels, wind turbines, batteries to store energy and power the electric vehicles, from school buses to automobiles. We're also going to make historic investments in environmental cleanup and remediation, rebuilding resilience against superstorms and droughts and wildfires and hurricanes. I traveled all over the country this year. You know, there's literally $99 billion in losses because of storms this year. $99 billion. You ever think you'd hear somebody stand up and say the Colorado River's being drained? You ever think you'd see, you'd go out, more wildfires in the West than the entire land lost, homes lost, to burn to the ground. I've flown over in Marine One. Than the entire state of New Jersey, from the Cape all the way to New York. That's how much we've lost in America. So far. According to the economic experts, this bill is going to ease inflationary pressures, lowering the cost of working families. 17 Nobel laureates in economics wrote a letter to me about 10 days ago saying this is going to bring inflation down, not up. But best of all, the vast majority of these jobs we're going to create don't require a college degree. Don't require it. This is the ultimate blue-collar blueprint to rebuild America. I'm not waiting to sign a bill to start improving the flow of goods from ships to shelves. Yesterday, I announced a port plan of action. It lays out concrete steps for my administration to take over the next 3 months to invest in our ports and to relieve bottlenecks. This builds on the progress we've already made. Last month, I reached a deal with 2 of the largest ports in America, the Port of Los Angeles and Long Beach. And I met with you guys, with the longshoremen there, and we worked out a deal between the port owners and the longshoremen to move toward operating those 2 ports. Okay, 40% of everything in the Pacific comes through those 2 ports. And they're lined up, ships are lined up, 70-some lined up out as far as you can see. So they all agreed. We're going to go 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's already paying off. Last week, the number of container ships in the docks for more than 9 days fell by over 20%. And now we're announcing steps to improve ports in the East Coast, to provide support for the Port of Savannah, the 4th largest container port in the country, to help reduce congestion. With our help, they now have the funds they need to set up 5 new inland port sites in Georgia and North Carolina so goods can get closer to their final destination more quickly. And other ports across the country will have the resources they need to make these kinds of immediate investments as well. The challenge we need to meet here, and my plan is going to help address, has to do with the supply chain. You hear a lot about the supply chains in the news, but frankly, not a lot of people have a clear understanding, whether they have a PhD or they didn't go to school, about how a supply chain works. It's easy to talk about it. What's the impact on the economy?
A horrible, capital H, horrible 30-year bond auction. I've been watching 30-year bonds since 1979. A lot of auctions between then and now. This could be one of the worst I've seen. Look at an intraday of 30s. You see the way yields jumped? Well, let's go through the auction results. The when issued market was trading 1.885. This price at 1.94%. Almost a 6 basis point tail on this thing. Huge. And every metric was not good. Bid to cover at 2.20, worst since July of 21. 59% on indirects, the lowest since November of 2019. 15.8 on directs, lowest since October of 20. And finally, if we look at what's going on with regard to dealers, they took a jumbo amount of that buffet because investors didn't eat much. 25.2%, the biggest since August of 20. And if you consider the fact that many investors saw the data this morning, let's look at it. CPI year over year caught my eye at 6.2%, the hottest since the early 90s, and 5-year note yields just skyrocketing. And if you look at a 6 a.m., you could clearly see at 8:30 Eastern, when they saw the inflation data, they jumped. And they jumped again on the auction results. You can even see what it's doing to yield curves. Remember, flattening yield curve means that they are selling short maturities or buying long maturities, a combination of those two factors. But what we're seeing here is selling across the entire curve. And finally, the long end woke up, steepening all these curves. And this is something to pay big time attention to, Kelly.
Rick, can we talk about the dollar as well for a moment? Because everyone seems to take it for granted that it's strong here, but often inflation is supposed to be bad for the dollar. It sinks it. That's the whole point of investing in other kinds of assets, is that they rise because the dollar's falling in value. What do you make of the fact that it's so strong right now?
It's like when a sick patient goes to see the doctor and he has his diagnosis and he knows what's wrong. And he says, here's the medicine that'll cure you. The markets are basically telling the Fed, we need some more medicine. The way the yield curve's moving, it really underscores that notion. And the fact that the markets are being so bossy at this point in time is giving the dollar index a bit of a jolt.
Got it. So you think the dollar is responding to markets pushing the Fed to maybe raise rates more quickly?
Yes, and if they're going to raise rates more quickly, that means they have to taper more quickly. And all of that sounds murky and difficult to me.
The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids' books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York. From COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.